The 2022 season presented me with quite a challenge. I went into the season without any preseason scouting, and I didn't get an opportunity to hang any trail cameras. So I went into season kind of blind, and quite honestly, it was kind of weighing on me. I was kind of lost. I didn't. I'm usually prepared. I usually know where I want to go and have some target animals picked out and so forth. Um, and this year, this 2022, just wasn't in the cards for me to get out and do that. So I had to come up with a new game plan, and it ended up being a blessing in disguise because it forced me to change the way I approach season and the way I hunt. And basically, what I did was I just decided I was just going to get out there and I was just going to do a lot of in-season scouting. And then if I found good buck activity in an area, then I was going to hang and hunt. And so that was my game plan. And believe me, it worked better than I could have ever expected. I hunted 9 different times, had 4 shooters within range, had a 5th one that was a nice buck that I let walk. He was a little small. Had several other small bucks around me, all in the window of 9 hunts on public land that has some pressure on it. That's a phenomenal year for me. I don't know what other people experience as far as numbers on deer. Does and fawns as well. I had does and fawns around me. Most hunts I had a lot of deer sighting. So it really changed. It's going to change the way I hunt and the way I look at it in the future. Don't get me wrong. I think in season or out of season scouting is extremely important. Getting out in the winter, getting out in the spring. The more you know about a piece of land and the more you understand how the deer are using it, the better you are. It's more of an advantage for you to know these things. But the bottom line is, if you're using last year's sign to set up for this year, you're hunting a year behind the deer. And each year they shift a little bit. Maybe acorn crops change or crops in the farm fields change. There's a lot of things that change every year, little bitty things that change that shift the deer movement. You could find some good buck sign in an area from last year only to not be aware of the fact that that buck was shot by a hunter or killed by a wolf or a coyote or a car. That deer might not even be around anymore, and you're going back in there and putting time in an area trying to find a deer that doesn't even exist. So I think it's important to use that in-season scouting to put yourself right on the hot sign right at the moment that those deer are in that area, and you're hunting deer where they are when they are. And believe me, it made a huge difference in my success rate this year. Okay, I'm set up in a new location, never been here before. I scouted my way in here, and I set up on a tiny little oak island. There's a little bit of rut sign. There's some nice tracks here. When I say rut sign, there's a few scrapes. A few rubs. Nothing big. There's a few nice tracks I could see in the mud. Kind of at a disadvantage here. I don't really have a lot of intel on this, and what happened was the spot I wanted to hunt just was void of sign, so it doesn't pay to sit there. So I thought I'd do some scouting tonight, and I moved around and I found this spot here. So I'll give you a quick pan around. There's a little creek running down through. I wanted to give a visual example of in-season scouting. I'm using Onyx Maps for this example here. This is an area I've never hunted before, um, and I just pulled it up at random just to use it as an example to give you an idea kind of how I go about it. Um, the very first thing I'm going to want to do is when I'm at home is just kind of zoom in on some of these areas and take a look at some of this stuff. This point of interest out in this island out in the middle of the swamp. Of course, zooming in, you can see these deer trails running here. Like here, they're running from here to here to here, all the way back to the mainland here. So of course, this is going to be a point of interest for me. I might even mark these on the map. Usually I don't, because I pretty much remember that stuff pretty good. Also, zooming in here, it looks like there's some trails that are running over to this point, over from here over back into here. So along this point here, there's a trail coming in right here. You know, this whole edge here basically is something we really want to look at a lot closer. This, I don't know if this is a high line running through. This might be a high line running through here even. I'm not quite sure what this is here. So we notice that. Again, you can just kind of zoom in around here. You can look and you can see where there's trails where the deer are moving. It gives you kind of an idea of how the deer are moving back and forth through some of these areas. There's a more of a major crossing right here. Like I said, you could drop pins on your map, make notations of those things. Look at that a little bit more in detail when you get on the ground, and if there are real good points of interest, I like to mark them. So now that we kind of, like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Now that we kind of identified the area, maybe some points of interest, now I'm going to actually drive out to that area and I'm going to scout it. And what I want to do is I want to take my gear with me. I want my bow. I want my sling stand on my back. I want to be ready to hunt. I'm going in to hunt this thing, not to scout it. I'm going in to hunt it. So I want to be totally prepared to hunt. And because of that, the very first thing that you need to look at, to take into consideration, is wind direction. And for this example, I'm just going to make it really simple for myself. I'm just going to say that the wind direction is coming out of the east. We'll just say it's coming out of the east. Okay. And that's important because we certainly don't want to scout an area and have our scent blowing into what we believe to be a suspected bedding area. We want to have the wind in our favor, at least not blowing directly into the bedding. So again, in this example, I see a road coming in here. There's a, I don't know if this is a high line or whatever this is. I might access in through here. Probably what I'd like to do is actually just probably come in over. Let me start drawing a line here. Probably just come in here. Looks like a road right here. Just start walking this transition. And again, what we're looking for is trails coming in. And if there's trails we want to look at, of course, if this is wetland here, you should be able to see some deer tracks. You're looking for large deer tracks, looking for rubs, scrapes, anything that'll indicate large droppings, anything that, any like feeding, if there's any browsing going on. Looking for food sources as you're going along too. We're looking for oak trees that might be dropping acorns. You know, keep a track of all that stuff. Just general woodsmanship, just like you would when you're scouting, only you want to do it more carefully, and you want to do it quiet and careful, and you want to not overwalk where you possibly might want to hunt. You don't want to walk out ahead of it and then come back. So you take your time and you pick you pick along these edges and you look for that sign, and you just make your way along. I'm going to kind of go through this really quick here on how I would probably approach this. Zoom out here a little bit. And I would continue to work my way along this edge all the way through this whole thing. And if at any point in this journey along here I found anything of interest, I would stop and hunt immediately. If it looked like it was worth a hunt, I would stop and hunt it. I can always continue on another day and hit those other spots, but I don't want to walk over a spot and then try to go back to it after I leave scent behind. So that's what I would do. And in this example, let's say I went through this whole scenario here and I didn't find anything I liked. For lack of a better term, let's call it secondary transition. I'll change the color of my drawing here. I would probably go back if I didn't find anything I liked. I'd probably go back and I'd probably start hitting some of these other things here. Again, I'd probably start maybe walking a transition line along here. Again, looking for all those things, looking for rubs, scrapes, large droppings, big tracks, anything that would tell me that there might be a buck in the area, scrapes, anything that'll tell me that. If I find any of those signs concentrated somewhere, or even one big large track coming in on a trail coming out of the swamp, that would be enough for me to drop a hunt on that spot just to take a look at it. And if that didn't pan out, again, I would probably, again, we could look at this here as like secondary over here too. Oops, let me just undo that. Let me save that. And then I'll just switch colors again here. Again, I would venture all the way out to here even and make a scout around this island. These islands out here could be holding bedded deer, and they might come onto that, and that might be a real hot spot. Again, I don't want to make this about how to scout, but or what to look for or whatever. I think that most people already know that, but just to give an idea how I go about it in season. And then again, here's another area. Oops, I did it again. Undo. Let's save that one, and then bear with me. Okay, let's switch colors again. Again, you know, I might go and hit this as well. Again, we got to be mindful of the wind direction that day. Some of this might not be the best option, and I might hold out of that just for that reason. Especially like this one I'm doing right now, the wind is going across like that. This might be a spot that I might save for another day. If there's deer bedded out in here and I'm walking this edge, my scent is blowing right out, I lose before I even start. So again, the first concern is make sure that the wind direction is right. And if you encounter anything, hunt it. Another good question is, okay, what do you do if you go through this whole thing and you don't find anything? I might still historical rubs, maybe. If I'm out there and I'm walking, I'd like to throw a hunt at it. I might sit
I might come out like to this point. Oops, again, I did that. Let me save that. I might come out to a point out here somewhere. Um, bear with me. Uh, I might come out to this point right here and do an observation sit at that point, or come out to this point and do an observation sit. Um, I don't want to waste my time. I'm out there, so I might as well put a hunt. I might as well pick the best spot I can find. Um, I at that point, if I totally don't find anything, I might still go back and hunt a spot that I walk through and go back to it again. Um, I've got nothing to lose at that point. I usually drive quite a distance to hunt, so I'm going to put a hunt in one way or the other. Um, Either that, or I might move down the line and do some scouting somewhere else. Whatever the case, I want to maximize my time when I'm out there. But that just gives you an idea how I go about in season scouting. Again, I didn't hunt this spot, but I want to use this spot as an example of kind of how my hunt played out last year. I'd like to show you the actual spot I hunted and how I went about it, but it's a spot that I'm going to hunt in the future, and so I'm not going to put maps up uh, of this area that I hunted and show everybody exactly where and how I'm hunting. So I'm just going to use this kind of as an example of what happened to me last year on the buck I actually shot. It's typical to this setup here. I did my scout along the transition line, and in this example here, I found a nice scrape. Let's say right here.
I was scouting along this transition in here, and I came across this scrape right here. It's a dandy, and even since I killed my buck, it's getting pounded. I mean, this area is just getting pounded hard. There's a licking branch up above there, and then there's another scrape right here, and that's getting worked up hard. Trees being robbed. So I found these scrapes here, and the first night I actually sat right where my camera is there. I picked that tree right there, that little bitty one, and I used this oak tree as cover, and I had that little hole right there where my camera is up in there to shoot through. And I sat here. Well, I had a buck come out of bedding, and he came in behind me, and he stood just behind this whole area, coming right to this scrape, and he stood there, and he would not come through. And I would have shot that buck. He was a dandy. And a little while later, another deer came through across this opening here, a small buck. And then I heard some noise, some leaves crunching a little bit, and I looked right down, and right underneath my tree, I mean right directly down below me, was a big shooter buck. And I couldn't shoot down because of those branches up there were in my way. And then he knew something was wrong, and he backed up and he ran back the way he came back again from that bedding area here. And I don't know where he went, but that was the end of that hunt. At that point, I didn't quite know how to attack this because they already had known that I was hunting them here. I decided I'd come right back and hunt it, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to not hunt the same spot in fear that they might try to circle and win that where I was. So what I decided to do was try to drop back into the closer, really tight to bedding and set up. So I came in from the back side of this so I wouldn't have to walk through this area here. And we'll just backtrack this trail that they come in on, and we'll see where this leads us. Basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to come right back on this trail. I mean, this trail is very pronounced. I'm not surprised right now if there's a big buck in that bedding area right now. We're probably going to blow them out here in a few minutes. But this trail is so heavily pronounced. These deer are coming right up through here. Anyway, this is the trail that they came on. This tree here was the tree he was standing by, coming from the direction I'm pointing the camera right now, from the swamps back down in there. And what I did was I set up on this tree right here, I shot right out of that opening right there. At first, the smaller buck, a little 3-pointer, came out on this trail, walked right down through here, and then 4.5 minutes later, that big guy came out. He was standing right here. I was up in that little pine tree right there. He took off and he ran right up in there, so I don't see any sign here at all. Oh, there's blood. Okay. There's my first blood. Right there. Right there. There. Okay. Now we're on him. Now where? That blood? Nope. There's blood. There's some hair. Ah, there's more blood right there. There's blood right here. Blood. Okay. Now, when he turned here, that's a good sign he didn't want to jump over that. Maybe they're sick when they don't want to jump. There's more blood. There's more blood. More blood. I can see blood way up ahead. Okay, here's my Wisconsin 2022 buck. I hit him back a little far. I didn't make a real good shot on him. So I brought in Dustin Linsmeyer and his dog, Scout. And Scout sorted it out real well and he got right on it. How far do you think it went?
Probably 400 plus.
Okay.
I would say 400 plus.
He had to sort out a few scent pools when the deer laid down. And then once he got on track again, he just beelined right in. Beautiful job. So I'm happy with this deer. Now on to other states, maybe we can shoot some more.
All right.
Thank you, guys. So who do we got here?
We got Dustin Linsmeyer with Trails End Deer Recovery, and we got Scout He's a 4.5-year-old Bavarian mountain hound, and he just tracked down this nice 9-point buck for you.
He's my hero.
You did a good job.
Thank you very much.
Worked out a couple scent pools and heard the coyotes, didn't even care about the coyotes, and right to the deer.
All right. Well, thank you guys both.
No problem, glad we could help.
Yep.
What?